Okay, so the next presentation will be Mike Eathorne. Mike's basically here today representing the Australian Camel Industry Association at this event as well. Mike is from Meramist Pty Limited, Caboolture abattoir, and he'll be talking about industry, commercial use and industry engagement.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, I'll just run through a bit of an introduction. Livestock procurement, transport, processing, market options, added value and summary. In Australia at the moment there are 2 export abattoirs that process camel meat. There's Samex in Peterborough, South Australia, Meramist in Caboolture, Queensland. We both process or have the capacity to process about 120 camels a day and a combined capacity of approximately 50,000 a year. At the moment both plants are running well under capacity. Meramist has other options because we do a lot of beef. Samex doesn't at the moment have that luxury. In 2012-13, a combined processing of about 20,000. In the first 4 months of this year, we've processed very few. Our plant's running year on at about 20% of what we've done last year. Been very noticeable, cull and natural attrition has removed a lot of camels from the traditional mustering areas. Livestock procurement, its lack of development of supply chain means we can only produce on a spot basis or as they're available, and we are reliant on the feral camel musters. We Meramist don't use a muster team of our own. We rely on pastoralists and other people to muster the camels for us. Peterborough have a very, very good experienced muster team in Troy Co. And that works well for them. For export of camel to expand, it's critical that we engage in pastoralists to farm camels. It has started a little bit in Queensland and there's some legislation in different states that inhibits that. But on the muster, as we all realise, it's just unrealistic. We're not going to eradicate the camels, as Quinton touched on this morning. Co-grazing of camels with cattle is very compatible. They don't compete for the food source. The camel's a grazer, a top grazer, and the cattle are a low grazer. What we'd look to do in the future is develop a series of holding yards which allow a collection of small groups of camels from small communities to come together to a transport source. Because at the moment the critical thing is to make it work logistically is to filling up full road trains. So we don't believe it's economical to employ aerial shooters for small numbers, so that's where we think they could be mustered, put to the centre yards and come to us for processing. The transport side of it, it's the biggest cost we face in the process. The majority of camels sourced from everywhere around the central Australia, from Alice Springs, the Territory, South Australia, around that corner. The road trains consist of 3 45-foot trailers, and the total that they take is 54 mature animals, 18 per trailer. So building that supply chain for the camel industry is our biggest challenge as we go forward. Processing. The slaughter of camels is more expensive than camel, and that's simply the numbers. For us, if we're processing camel and beef at our plant, we process about 25 an hour. With camels, we get down to about 10 to 12 an hour. The design works pretty similar for camels and beef. Average dress weight of a mature camel is 250 kilos, 50% live to dead on average. If you're doing boneless from that 250 kilo animal, you'll yield about 62% boneless. So of your about a 500 kilo live animal, you put 150 kilos in a box to sell. And that's similar to grass-fed beef. With the market options, at the moment there is simply no problem selling the meat. There's good demand out there. Ethnic migration around the world has generated demand from countries where health standards and inspection compliance is great to meet the market opportunities. Australia has a good name out there for our disease-free status, our protocols. There's a number of established markets that we simply cannot fully supply their demand. Strangely enough, for us, our biggest market is the USA. The market demand there is approximately 300 metric tonne. At the moment, well, last year we supplied 50% of that requirement. We've developed markets in Canada. They've indicated they can take approximately 150 metric tonne. Last year we supplied about 20% of that. Europe, EU, Germany, Switzerland, a number of those countries we supply. Last year we put 50 metric tonne in there. We've had a lot of inquiries from Japan, Asia, China, Middle East, and our market strategy at the moment simply is we can't offer because we cannot meet the demands of what we currently have. Camel's been part of the stable diet in the Middle East countries for over 2,000 years, and there's no huge market effort required in those countries. That we get weekly inquiries from these markets, but the Middle East market is a more price-sensitive market. But the world is demanding higher standards, and that market is developing. We're noticing that now. Bids we got a year ago, we're getting bids from the same people now at quite a lot better values. One of the things that has been quite noticeable is the media attention over the camel cull has had a negative impact on some of the marketing. They see the opportunity, they see, oh, they're culling camels in Australia, we should be able to get them very cheap. They don't understand the logistics that go with it or the cost associated with it that set the prices. As I said, it hasn't helped there. At the moment, we're not developing new markets, as I said, because simply we cannot supply the demand we currently have. For added value, it's very difficult to add value to a lot of things and start establishing things when you haven't got the consistent volume. We've started to develop a hide market, which has been difficult because the same thing again. The people that want the hides consistently. We've also looked at trials with blood. We're spinning off the blood and taking the embryo from the blood. And again, that's still in the development stages, but it's showing very, very good signs. In a simple summary, the demand is greater than the supply. Both abattoirs have invested millions of dollars in upgrading the plants to process camel, have invested time, money to develop the market opportunities, and the management of the feral camel in Australia is going to be an ongoing problem or issue, and we feel the industry can be a big part of solving those problems. Assistance and commercialisation of these animals will reduce the cost to taxpayer as well as generate export income and provide employment all the way down the supply chain. An example of this is in Peterborough, which is a town of very, very high unemployment, and the local abattoir there is the biggest employer in the town and generates approximately $5 million in wages to that local economy. Employment in Central Australia, where private enterprise jobs are scarce, can assist with social problems caused by the lack of gainful activities. That's it. Thank you.